Hey guys, it's Adam from LUCIDPIXUL, and a couple of weeks ago I put out a video sharing my thoughts, my opinions, and my feedback on Photoshop for the iPad Pro, the new release 1.0 that was just released. And understandably, and in my opinion justifiably, I had a lot of complaints about this app. I was very frustrated with the way it functioned. There was a lot of things that should work that didn't work. However, one of the things that I felt my video was missing was a physical demonstration of what was wrong with the app in the first place. So to reiterate and to clarify my position on it, I'm not an Adobe hater, not by any stretch of the imagination. I've been working on Adobe Photoshop and have been a loyal user and teacher in Photoshop for well over 2 decades, as I've explained. My history with the reason I keep saying that is not just to show off that I have so much experience, it's to explain how long I've been loyal to this product and how much it means to me and how much it matters in terms of being an industry standard. My complaint has been and remains not about the big features that are missing. I understand it's incredibly frustrating for photographers. They don't have access to RAW. I understand if there's features missing, bells and whistles that make Photoshop the big complete app it is. I understand when that's a frustration, but that's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the perspective of the little things. I'm sticking up for the little guy as far as that goes, at least in terms of features. And it's those things which I feel would have been achieved with minimal effort, minimal budget, if you had the right testers on board, or at least if you allowed those testers to do their job the way they want to and didn't allow money and politics and expectations get in the way. So to demonstrate exactly what I mean by this, a couple of weeks following a couple of days following my review, I was talking with one of my students online, and he mentioned something that I was embarrassed to not know about. That there was an app called Craft Pro developed by one of my most beloved YouTubers, BORODANTE. I love his content. He's got a great sense of humor. He's an amazingly talented artist. But most of all, he works exclusively on the iPad almost all the time. It's his kind of bread and butter. It's his staple device that he uses to work. So he's extremely well versed in the iPad and painting on the iPad. So with regards to an authority on iPad apps, I would point you in his direction. Absolutely. And he has, to my embarrassment not knowing this, he has developed a painting app himself. One guy, one artist with apparently, as far as I know, little to no experience in programming or game or app development, managed to figure out how to develop his own app in a matter of months, a couple of grueling months, but a couple of passionate months nonetheless, and single-handedly created his own app. So of course, I had to go check it out because it's developed by an artist for artists. And within the first minute of being on this app, I immediately knew that I needed to make this video for you and show a comparison between what a huge company with a huge budget and huge resources can fail to achieve, what a single person with no resources can develop. This demonstrates exactly what I'm talking about. So let's take it to the screen, okay? And let's open Craft Pro. Now, when you first open up the app, you're not going to get a white screen like this. You're going to get a white screen with swipe up written on it, okay? So you swipe up naturally. And right there, access to everything that a painter needs. Not a photographer. This isn't for photographers. These are for painters, okay? And here, right away, we have access to all these different brushes, dry brushes, such like Photoshop brushes that overlap, or wet brushes that you can blend with, and all of your different settings and all that kind of stuff there, okay? You pick whatever you want. You pick a dry brush, you pick a color, because there's your colors right there, and you swipe down and you start to paint. So right away, you jump into the app and you start to paint. I failed to do that on the iPad. I failed to do that because there were too many obstacles getting in my way. So, point number one. The number one thing that a painter, a digital painter, looks for and wants is a brush. Doesn't need to be 1,000 brushes, but at least one brush that works properly. It's remarkable how many apps have been developed for the iPad that failed to do this, to implement this properly, despite being very popular, very well developed, very nice looking apps. Their brushes don't necessarily work well. In the case of Photoshop, cool. Their default brush pack that you came with works fine. They feel like Photoshop brushes. Confided, you can't import Photoshop brushes yet, which is a big smack on the wrist as far as Adobe is concerned. But for what it's worth, maybe that's a logistics issue. I'm not gonna get butthurt about that. So fine. But when I pick up an app, any app for the iPad, any app that I'm gonna paint on, I always look for that default hard round brush. I don't need to have all the fancy bells and whistles. I just need to have a brush that works well. If I want to customize it, flow, and I can customize the way it looks. I can color pick, go back into it. I'm painting. So far, so good. Feature number 2. It's amazing how hard and how long and how many different iterations of an idea that all of these different iPad apps, most of them at least, have experimented with and developed and improved over the years to solve one simple problem: color picking. They have press and hold on-screen buttons. They have double tap the pencil. They have customizable buttons you can put in different places. They've got little buttons you can put on the side that you can move around and place in different ways. I think that the app that did the worst job, the worst implementation of color picking, which is something we do 18,000 times a day as digital painters, so it is a staple feature, a simple one, but a staple one, is keyboard shortcuts. So far, they disabled the Alt. You can only go with I. Somebody had mentioned in my videos that I was always there. I'm aware of that, but I use Alt, as a lot of people do, because it allows me to work like this instead of like this, right? I don't cross my hands over. In most part, the big issue, the big problem is that it forces you to pull your eyes away from your work. So when you're color picking, you're drawing. So I'll be drawing something, and then when I want to color pick, I have to pull my thumb over to the side, look for it, press it, bring my eyes back to my work and hit. Now, if it's a big enough button, I think that one of the app developers that kind of solved that the best with regards to on-screen buttons is concerned is PaintStorm, because you can scale it and put it exactly where your fingers are located, so you don't have to look over so much, and it's just a press, it's a modifier, so you just press and tap, which is very quick. So hit or miss as far as that goes, but the best implementation of it. Photoshop also implemented the on-screen button, the touch button, but it's a smaller button, so you have to look for it. You can't just hit the screen intuitively. You have to look for it, and just pressing the button doesn't, the color pick, you have to press and then pull it over to the left like a virtual joystick, which is pointless. It's a useless feature because I have to pull my eyes over to the side, find the button, locate it with my thumb, hit it in the right spot, press, pull over to the side, tap, and paint. So that is a very involved process for just wanting to color pick. Okay? So this is where some of the genius of BORODANTE'S app comes in. It is so streamlined and so intuitive, it's ridiculous. He's got a thumb bar. So the only thing I have to remember to do is to keep my hand anchored onto the left side of the onto the left side of the screen, which is generally what you do. You generally have your hands on the screen and you just press. There, press. And when I press, just pressing and holding is the color picker, color picker, color picker, color picker. And what's awesome about this is it works anywhere. I don't have to press it in the middle. I can press it anywhere along that side. If I touch and hold, it color picks, color picks, color picks, color picks. That's how fast it should be. Furthermore, I don't have to move my eyes away because I know that I just have to do that. See? Look, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to look at you and color pick, color pick, color pick. Isn't that brilliant? Furthermore, you'll notice the actual color picker is there too. Okay? So I have access to a color picker very quickly. I don't have to open a menu or use a slider in order to pick the color or open a menu, pick the color. No, it's there, paint. It's something we do 18 million times a day. We need access to this. So Borodante knows this. He's a painter. Press, grab a color, there. Color pick, blend, color pick, blend, color pick, blend. You just paint. The next, test number 3, is brush size. Again, the brilliance of this thumb bar. I don't have to look at the screen. I can do this. I can watch my paint dry and I just press and slide like that. And that's it. Isn't that How come it's taken people why is it taking so many people and so much money all this time to not figure that out? Press and hold. But here it's not just the fact that it's a press and hold. He's made sure that that icon is high enough contrast so that you can use your peripheral vision. And that peripheral vision is very capable of gauging proper sizes if the contrast is high enough. And that's exactly what he's done. So because it's just off of my focal point, it's just in the inside of my periphery, I can click and drag, and that icon lets me know exactly how big my brush is getting. So I can dial in that size very intuitively, and it increments very smooth sizes. It's absolutely genius. And that Adobe is that. That's all it takes. You don't need to have all the fancy bells and whistles. You don't have to have any of that stuff. You just need an app that works. What this proves is that more money and more resources doesn't equal better product. And again, this isn't me hating on Adobe. I'm not sitting there going, you guys suck and you're so stupid. No, I know where in big companies, management and politics can greatly damage the development process. Now, with that said, I definitely recommend you go and buy it just to help to support Borodante. It is a work in progress. There's lots of features missing. When and if you want to get all of the info on the app as he develops it, because he's doing it in real time with his audience on his channel, go to his channel, subscribe, show this guy a ton of support and a ton of love, more so than he's already got, because he's got a lot of love already. And now there's several other apps I'm going to be reviewing moving forward. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm going to be looking at a lot of different iPad apps, a lot of different things. I have some product reviews. This just came in the mail. XP Pen just sent me that, so I'm going to be reviewing this soon. A cool new tablet. So there's a lot of this stuff going on, and I want to share with you my most favorite and least favorite apps and why, so that I can help you, the user who wants to potentially spend your money or not on an app, and developers, if you're listening, get some professional feedback on your apps so that you can get them working the way people want them to work so that they spend money on your product. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed today's quick review and feedback as far as that goes. And I'll see you soon. Take care.